Hi, Tamara. How are you? I would really like. Hi there.
Hey, hey.
I'm trying to, my little filter disappeared. Oh, where it went. I'm so mad about that. That's so strange. I guess I gotta re-upload it. How are you?
I'm okay. A little tired, but it's Wednesday, so that makes sense.
Hump day. Yes. Almost
Yes,
there.
almost there. How about
Almost.
yourself?
I'm same.
Yeah, yeah.
I just got a call from my recruiter saying they may need me in Hawaii on Saturday. So I'm just like, okay. So
Yeah, you might have to dig a little deeper.
like, all right, that's let's go. I love it. I love it. Organized chaos. That's why I named my company.
Mm,
So
that's real.
I see you have your notepad, your pen and paper. Yes. We have a good bit of information to go over today. I'm just gonna make sure all my things and devices are turned off. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Of course, this is, there's a lot of information, but let me shut my door. We're going to cover a lot of information, but this is also very much interactive.
Okay,
So if you're like, wait a minute, hold up, I have a question or repeat that, please feel free to shout out during the call. These calls are also recorded. So
okay.
after this call, I'll send you the video playlist that every call I'll just be adding and updating the playlist on YouTube
Okay, cool.
as well as there's a Google Drive folder of all the documents and all the forms. I'll send you that as well.
Okay.
As I'm giving you assignments and things to do, you'll be able to find those forms and documents inside of the document library. Do you have any questions before I get started?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, let me share my screen. I need to make sure I am recording. You did hear record, right?
Yes. Hmm.
I'm a little traumatized from the
Yes, I heard it this time.
Okay, good. Um, I knew it was gonna do that. I didn't want to do that.
Oh, technology.
I know it does this every time. Just like, don't do that. All right, got it. Great. All right. You can see my screen there.
Yes.
Hide flight, trying to hide this controls. All righty. I just want to first say congratulations on investing in your education and your journey to becoming a successful real estate investor. We're going to go ahead and claim it. Um, and this program is going to get you started on your journey to finding funding and closing your next deal in the next 90 days. The this call is it's about 90 minutes, give or take. And we're going to start off with the kickoff introduction, program overview and expectations, goal setting framework. We're going to talk about mindset. All these things are important. I always lead with that because it's very important for you to see yourself as a real estate investor and visualize yourself at the closing table at the end of this program or during your journey, and then your next steps and homework.
Okay.
Just going to recap myself again. I know I talked about myself a little bit in the mastermind, but I'm Coach Sapphire Star, formally introducing myself. I'm a qualified financial life coach, successful real estate investor, and mentor at Organized Chaos Enterprise. I'm also the owner and I manage CEO of Queens Buy Houses, where we invest in distress or undervalued properties and we convert them to cash flow assets for financial freedom and generational wealth. As a result of working with us at Organized Chaos, our clients are able to empower the money mindset, master their finances, and own their future through real estate investing. And this is all our information here, which I think we're following each other on all social media.
Yeah, I think so. Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I I affectionately call myself or coin myself a world citizen. However, I was born and raised in Savannah, Georgia. In 2002, I graduated university with a bachelor's of science in biology, and then a year later, I graduated with a bachelor of science in medical technology. And quickly, I began working as a clinical laboratory scientist, which I've been a scientist for 25 years. Around this time, same time, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad that planted the seed of real estate investing. However, due to limited thinking, I did not pursue that dream. So in 2013, after several years of having, the American dream, I had the house, the cars, the job, the kids, the husband, the picket fence, the dogs. I had it all. But I after a divorce, I was in a situation where I went from a two-income household to one-income household, and I had to try to figure it out. So though I was working two jobs, I still was living paycheck to paycheck. And so in 2013, I decided to make a change and embarked on this financial freedom journey. And in 3 years, I became financially free. I paid off $33,000 worth of debt, saved to invest, fired my boss, and I began traveling the world. I've been to 27 different countries and counting. In 2021, I was living in Mexico during the pandemic. And I asked myself the question, how can I continue to live freely and not worry about exchanging my time for money for on a job? And that's when I remember reading Rich Dad Poor Dad 20 years prior and decided to return to America, which was Atlanta at the time. I was living in Atlanta, well, going back and forth between Atlanta and Mexico. And so I decided to return to Atlanta. And at this point, I've been a travel clinical laboratory scientist for about 10 years. And I lived in people's homes throughout the country on different assignments.
Mm.
And though I knew absolutely nothing about real estate, I was inspired to create a business where I provided midterm rentals, rent by the room model, like I was staying in, for travel, healthcare professionals and business professionals, um, like myself in Metro Atlanta and Savannah, Georgia. So my real estate investing journey began in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's just a little bit about my real estate investing background and how I got started. And so in the next 3 months, you're going to learn how to navigate through the entire buyer's journey and add value to each milestone, how to establish what you're trying to buy and choosing a market and finding deals, how to analyze deals like a pro, how to raise money with little money and little experience, well, they call it capital raising, but
Mm.
basically multiple ways to find money outside of traditional conventional ways to get money for real estate investing deals and leveraging using other people's money to make money, how to ensure consistent deal flow through the various channels, how to make offers, how to work with realtors and other real estate industry professionals like wholesalers, how to conduct due diligence once the property is under contract, and what pretty much makes a air quote good deal, and how to build a winning team and scale up because this is a relationship based business and it is about building your power team and surrounding yourself with like-minded people, like driven people that's going to pretty much help you close a deal, but also execute your exit strategy on the other end. And so in this 2 weeks, we're going to start. Obviously, the first week is orientation and goal clarity, making sure we're clear on what your goals are. And then we're going to jump right into how to find deals and analyze deals, funding deals, including creative financing and closing deal, which includes making offers, negotiating, and due diligence, because this is a numbers game and you're going to miss every shot that you don't take. And so it's definitely important for you to establish some type of deal funnel where potential deals are coming in, but and it's going through this funnel through which you make offers and then you get to the closing table. And then, celebration and next steps.
Okay.
And so for program expectation in these 90 days of this 12-week program, I do suggest a time commitment of 3 to 4 hours a week. And I also, because time management is very, very important. And so I do recommend, I'm not sure how you track and manage your time now, but I do recommend setting some time because you work a full-time job.
I do.
Yeah, I highly recommend you creating a work schedule for your real estate business, anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a week. And if you simply say, hey, 4 days a week, I'm going to commit 1 hour to real estate investing and specifically say what those days are. For example, Monday through Thursday, I'm going to work on real estate investing 1 hour a day. Now, obviously, you can do more, but minimally, I would recommend committing an hour a day. Or even if you said 3 days a week, I'm going to commit 2 hours a day to real estate investing. But obviously, putting that around your schedule, and I encourage time blocking, literally putting that on your calendar and setting the time aside. And I know for me, I'm ADHD aligned, and so I get distracted very easily. So a strategy and trick that I do for myself is whatever time I commit to something, I just set a timer and to help me stay focused, even if I have to break it up into increments. But I definitely recommend at least 4 hours a week blocking that time out for yourself. And that can include such things as rewatching your videos, making sure you're doing your homework, reading books. I have book recommendations at the end. So there's so many different things that you can do, even starting this week. We will have the live calls every week. We'll also have I think there's a total of 8 or 9 calls, but we also have the implementation breaks where we take a moment for you to really take what you've learned, the education, and start the application of it. And obviously, you have access to me, unlimited text and emails, but my office hours, I'm available, but typically Monday through Thursday from 10 to 6. But obviously, just, I work with your schedule. Fridays, I don't work at all on Fridays or Sundays. So sometimes I make adjustments on Saturday, but for the most part, my work schedule is Monday through Thursday. And these are the hours that I typically respond. But not to say I won't be available, but these are my hours Monday through Thursday from 10 to 6.
I know that's right. Okay.
Yeah, but you can text and email every time, but just
Okay.
depending on what time you text, or even if you called, you may not get a response to the next day. Just
Okay.
depending on what it is. I will be giving you next steps and assignments every week. And I know you said Wednesdays work best for you this time. Would that be every week or just this week?
Um, it will probably be kind of sporadic, and we can look at that. Because I know part of the challenge with me committing to the group or cohort that you had was that I had to have some travel set
Yeah.
up kind of between this month and next month.
Okay.
But I would say I can look right now if that's helpful.
Yeah, because I was getting ready to say what we can do at the end of the call is synchronize our calendars. Because what I can do is go ahead and at least for the next, like this is the first call, so for the next 3 calls, we can go ahead and put it on the calendar, whatever day
Okay.
they may be, but we can go ahead and schedule them.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. Accountability, obviously, I'm your accountability partner during this journey, and I'm here for you to, partner with you as well as guide you along the way. That's the benefit of working with a coach and a mentor is that, your experience plus my experience equals your experience. So you can say you have 5+ years experience in real estate investing because you have me as your mentor and your coach. And, this is again, team sport, group effort. And then I definitely encourage active participation. Like I said, it's very interactive. Anytime you have a question during the calls, feel free, or even afterwards, something may hit you. Feel free to send me a text message or email.
Okay.
And so our goal is to give you all the tools you need in your toolbox to build your real estate business because this is a business and pretty much help you as you go. We consider your personal goals and situations to give you personalized, customized advice based on where you are. And our mission is to help you build a strategic plan for your real estate portfolio. All right, we have an icebreaker activity. I would love for you to share why do you want to invest in real estate?
Um, hmm, I guess the kind of long story short is in the research that I have done, it seems like real estate is such a game changer for such a wide breadth of people. So,
Mhm.
in the context of generational wealth or breaking free from debt or whatever it is, the bottom line is real estate continues to be a common thread um, for income. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, let me get into that from a different lens. So I think that that's kind of what has highlighted it, kind of like in the bigger picture and then smaller picture. I did previously own a property, and then when I relocated from Atlanta to Tampa, I did rent that property out, and I was very clear on how my bank account looked when someone was in that property versus when someone was not in that property. And so I think I also kind of have that firsthand knowledge or view in the context of how it can be a very instantaneous game changer as well, not just like a long term, like growing up, I feel like that was more the like mindset is like, don't sell grandmama's house, right? Like that
Yeah.
is, like it's this asset, it's equity, it's land, it's legacy in that respect. But I think that like as I've gotten older and kind of had some other conversations and education along the way, I'm like, oh yeah, no, like I think there are lots of ways to set yourself up for wealth, but real estate continues to be a consistent thread in that. And so I think that that's really what continues to bring me back to it.
I love that. And that's important too during this journey to figure out or establish your why
Hmm.
and making sure it's clear to you why you want to invest in real estate because, I always tell my clients that real estate investing is very simple. It's very simple. Like define fund close framework, simple. But it's not always easy. And you're
Hmm.
going to have some challenges. That's why, I always say, oh, the real and real estate get real, real. And
Hmm.
so I'm not going to sell this dream like everything is rainbows and roses. But what I will tell you, and just to piggyback what you said, is that it is a proven method and a strategy. And it is something that can help you get to achieve your financial goals sooner than later, and something to help you establish a long lasting legacy for yourself, for your family, for your community, and beyond. And so I would definitely encourage you to write your why out and make sure it's visible. So as you're navigating through this journey, you'll have that foundation, you will have that anchor. And, when you figure out your why, the how becomes easy.
Hmm.
And so, do you live in Atlanta now or Tampa?
I do. I'm in Atlanta now.
Oh, you moved back.
I did.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Hmm.
I kind of I guess I don't count this as my first jaunt into real estate, but I guess it was is I moved from Savannah to Atlanta and I was a homeowner and so I became an accidental landlord. And so I pretty much rented my property out. Wasn't necessarily focused on cash flow back then because I didn't know anything about real estate. I just was like, as long as my mortgage paid and I don't have to
Yeah,
out of pocket.
yeah. Anything extra is like, okay, yes, just in case something breaks, right? Like, yes.
I
Hmm.
really wish I knew then what I know now, but still, I believe these things become a part of our developing, and it's a part of our journey, right? It's the introduction, even if it's accidental or we
Hmm.
didn't necessarily do it intentionally, it's still a part of our journey, it's a part of our story. So understanding and having your why is very, very important. And now we're going to get into the goal framework and the three pillars that was introduced into the mastermind of the Find Close. And we're going to talk about specifically what your goals are and how we're going to help you create the actions to help you achieve the goals. And this is just an example of a holistic goal using the Find Fund Close framework. And so the find is, build two deal flow sources and analyze five deals a week. Again, once we get into the heart of the framework and the training, this will become more clear to you.
Okay.
And then the funding, building a lender's list, securing pre-approval or private funding, start creating and building those relationships with people that can, I call them my money friends, people that want to invest, but they don't have time. But now you're going to learn how to find deals because I always tell people if you learn how to find deals, the money will find you. I promise you, because there's a plethora of people who want and have the money to invest, but they don't know how and they don't have the time. And so they will be happy to partner with someone who has the skill set of finding deals and who can execute and make them money while they're then you making them passive income because
Hmm.
you're working together. But if they're private money partners, they're bringing money to the deal and maybe you're bringing the deal. And so thinking about these things as we're navigating through and then closing. Again, you have to make offers to get a deal. And so maybe that becomes submit 10 offers within 90 days. And so now I want you to think about the big picture goal here is what does success look like for you in the next 90 days?
That's extra funny because when you asked me what's your why, I literally wrote underneath that, um, how will you measure success, Tam? So,
KPIs, KPIs. Yeah.
man, they're so deeply rooted.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I don't know.
And that's okay too. And again, write that you can write that out. I'm not really sure what that looks like, but as we're going through this, I do want you to think about what your goals are because, and I don't know if you heard of the SMART acronym when
Mm-hmm.
creating goals and SMART goals, specific, measurable, um, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. It's important that we have that because that's the guide for us. When we know what our goals are, that's like the end game when you have a roadmap when you're going somewhere. Like you know where you are, but the question is, okay, well, where are you going? And so this will give you a aim, to give you a target to shoot for. It could be like we go back to the example, it could be finding or establishing consistent deal flow coming in. It could be analyzing so many deals confidently a week. It could be meeting 10 new people in real estate every week in these 90 days. It could be submitting so many offers. It could be closing on my first investment property in 90 days. Like these are examples that I want you to start thinking about. And I dare you to dream big. I dare
Mm-hmm.
you. I dare you. Whatever
Mm.
comes to
Okay.
your mind, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. Don't like whatever your imagination is, write it down. And then we can work through these things to fine tune and say, okay, but what this goal is, and if it's is it realistic and time bound in this time frame that we have, but it's still something that can be attainable for you. So maybe you'll have that answer on our next call as we're going through things and you just have time to think about it. But I definitely encourage you to think about this.
Okay.
All right. So creating a buy box. And so a buy, have you ever heard of this before?
I haven't.
Okay. So, a buy box is a set of criteria that defines the type of real estate deals you're looking for. Again, in order for us to know where we're going, we need to know where we're at, but we need to be clear about what it is that we want. And so it helps you stay focused and avoid wasting time or getting distracted on deals because there may be all type of opportunities that come your way, but it's important in the beginning to start thinking about what exactly is that you want, especially once you start networking and communicating and telling folks, hey, I'm a real estate investor. Well, what is it that you're looking for? Because you may have that may be the follow-up question. And so when you're very clear about that, or you have some type of tangible thing that let people know this is what I'm looking for, that will make it that much easier for people to even start bringing deals to you.
Okay.
And so the key factors that defines your buy box is your market location. And obviously, in real estate, location is
Mhm.
one of the most important things to consider when you're looking at real estate investing. So the question is, what city you want to invest in? What neighborhood are you looking at? And you want to look for areas where you see strong growth when it comes to population growth, when it comes to job growth. What may be coming down the line through the pipeline? Like, for example, I think the World Cup is coming to Atlanta in
Mhm.
2026. So thinking about, okay, well, what are some things that's going to, drive that market for you to continue to make money in real estate, depending on what exactly it is you want to do in real estate. Do you want to be a fix and flipper? Do you want to be a wholesaler? Do you want cash flow rentals? So these are something for you to think about and start writing these things down. Now, do you have an idea of what market you want to invest in?
I do, or at least I think I do.
Okay, where would you like?
I think I want to do more of a rental, at least for the first one.
Okay, rentals.
And I am thinking through like a market location. I would love to be able to do something in Atlanta just because I feel like Atlanta is always going to be Atlanta. People always want to be here.
Sure.
Um, even though it's full, but people always want to be here. But it's also something about kind of like the numbers game with Atlanta, that makes me consider other locations too. So one of the other locations that I kind of have been thinking about is maybe more the Augusta area. I feel like there's a lot of growth there and a lot of accessibility there as well. That's kind of getting a little shine lately. So those are kind of the main two areas that I kind of been thinking about, or locations that I've been thinking about.
When it comes to Atlanta, are you looking at just Fulton County or the Atlanta in the metro areas like Cobb, Gwinnett, Henry?
Yep, I'm thinking more like Metro as a
Metro Atlanta.
whole.
Okay, gotcha.
Um, yeah, I so then I have a couple of other thoughts on that because I also was like, okay, if I were to do something maybe like Metro, like closer to Atlanta proper, I guess. So maybe like Fulton County, DeKalb County, like more of that. In my mind, I immediately go to like creating a space that would be in alignment with Section 8. And I don't know why, but that's literally where my brain goes to. But I don't necessarily feel that way about other places throughout the county, or throughout like Metro Atlanta, like I don't know, like Ellenwood, Henry County, Cobb County. Like I don't know that I would immediately think that. So I got to keep getting like more narrow.
Yeah. And I think, Metro Atlanta is a great place to start. Are you familiar with the Augusta market at all?
No,
Do you know anyone that lives in Augusta?
I do.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And so Metro Atlanta is a great, I mean, that's where I started. My real estate investing business started in Metro Atlanta. I added Savannah because that's where I'm from. I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I know Savannah. That's my home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a nice little net to throw yourself out there because you have so many options when it comes to
Yeah.
Metro Atlanta, especially like you say, okay, you're very clear, like, okay, I want to do rentals. Are you thinking midterm, short term, or long term rentals? Just traditional rentals?
I would prefer long term, best case
Okay.
scenario. Um, yeah.
Okay. Okay. These days again, we're establishing clarity,
Hmm.
crystal clear criteria. So that way, as you're navigating this journey, you're very clear. So when things come across your table, you're like, oh, hard no. Oh, yes. Or, it may be cold. It may what they call cold leads. Like, this is not nothing that works, but cold leads
Hmm.
still work because you could pass it on to someone else and potentially make money. That's what wholesalers do. Um, or it could be warm, like, okay, it's checking my boxes. And hot, obviously, is like, okay, this is getting me closer to, running the numbers, putting in an offer, and getting something under contract. And so you're familiar with Metro Atlanta. I would definitely start thinking about and doing your research in terms of Augusta. Like, start researching that market, start looking at best areas to invest in real estate, making sure that your bigger pockets. I'm not sure if you're familiar with bigger pockets.
Mm-mm.
Definitely encourage you to go to biggerpockets.com and create an account with them. They have all these forums in different markets and different areas and different locations where you can get advice. Also, my number one recommendation, and I can send this to you, is the Bigger Pockets Rookie Podcast. This is an awesome podcast because it gives you an opportunity to hear people experience and their story, especially because we all had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
We all started from somewhere to hear someone's journey and story is something about that just really invigorates you and ignite you and it motivates you to like, okay, they didn't know anything about real estate and somehow they got here. So definitely I'll see the Bigger Pockets Rookie because they have different podcasts.
Okay.
Rookie podcast, I think, would be a good fit for you with someone just getting started in real estate investing and just seeing what resonates with you as you're getting started. So I'll send that podcast, and that can perfectly fit into your 3 to 4 hours commitment that you're
Okay.
allocating to real estate investing. I not even kidding. I listen to every single one of those. I think there's over 100. I don't know how many, but every time I was in my car, every morning.
Mm-hmm.
I will, because they about 45 minutes to an hour. So I walk in the mornings, so I would listen to a podcast on my walk. Anytime I had a long drive from anywhere, any 2 plus 3 plus hours, I would throw that podcast on and I would just listen to them. And so anytime, and I don't know if you work from home or you drive to work.
I drive a lot for work. Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
Hmm.
Perfect time
Hmm.
to get you through through Atlanta traffic, which I know that those podcasts got me through many days because it's like, you know what? While I'm here, I'm learning something new.
Exactly.
And so definitely encourage you to check out those podcasts, but also looking into and doing some research on the Augusta market to kind of see where you can jump in at with that. Um, so market location, Metro Atlanta, Augusta. Make sure you're writing this down.
Hmm.
Property types. What type of properties are you looking at? Single family, multifamily, commercial, residential. Um,
Hmm.
Property characteristics. Minimally, how many bedrooms do you want your properties to have, right? Most people, I feel, two ones can be popular, but for the most part, I feel like two twos and up are
Hmm.
at least, 2 bedrooms, at least 2 bathrooms. But if you have a 2-1, that can work too. It just depends on the property type. Because some people, like if a single person wanted a 1 bedroom, then they have a one room as an office, that's sufficient. 3 twos obviously are the most popular when you think about renting out to families
Right.
and stability. So that's something to think about. Minimally, how many bedrooms? How many bathrooms do you want? Are you interested in condos and townhomes? These are things to think about and consider, especially when it comes to townhomes and condos, because they have those HOAs and
Hmm.
sometimes they have the rental restrictions, more or less condos. But again, thinking about what's a yes for you and what's a no for you specifically. And that would go on. And then property character, and then also with the bedrooms, bathrooms, also minimum square footage. What's the vintage? Vintage is the age of the property. How old do you want to go? For me, when I think about, I had a property in Kirkwood, we did a fix and flip. I think that was a 1920 build or 1940. It was an old build. So we pretty much had to gut it out. And so
Hmm.
when you're thinking about older property, that's something you want to think about. Is like, do I want to go in and do a full gut job when I first get started? Or do I want something that may be not as old, so I could do minimum rehab and have something to put out there. So age is important, and it's important when you start thinking about the roof, the HVAC,
Yeah.
the hot water heater, because even if it's older, these are the questions that you're asking. Hey, well, when was the roof change? Because
Hmm.
these CapEx expenses, capital expenses, and these are large replacement that you have to make, they're coming down the line. So even having older properties, nothing wrong with that, but just know that, okay, this is expense that I need to consider and factor in my numbers when I am purchasing the property. And then the price range, what's your budget, and making sure you factor in rehab costs if flipping. And even if you're fixing and holding, thinking about, do I want to do a small, medium, large rehab when you're first getting started? Again, I was open to all things when I first got started, but after doing a big, gut job, I was like, all right, I'm good with small and medium. So and especially after COVID, because the supply chain went crazy,
Yeah.
prices went up and it was taking longer and longer to get things. Again, these are things to think about and consider when you are figuring out what your buy box. And obviously, the buy box is not just this fixed thing, but it's
Hmm.
important to have something. Thinking about the condition of the property. Do you want a turnkey property? Right. And some people, they're okay with that, but obviously, your cash flow is not going to be as high because
Right.
it's already priced at retail.
Hmm.
That may be an appreciation play where you just hold it over time and it's appreciating over time. Cosmetic, like we just talked about, cosmetic repairs, small, medium, large. Profit margin, if flipping, what percent return do you need, or what percent return would you like? And we will talk about that more in depth when we look at running the numbers. And most important is your exit strategy. My mentor always say, you make money on the buy. And what that means is you run your numbers in such a way that you're very clear about, and obviously we don't have a crystal ball, you can't predict the future, but just based on your numbers, you're very confident that, oh, okay, this is going to be a fix and flip, and these are the numbers that I project. And so having a exit strategy before you even purchase the property is important because it helps dictate in how you run your numbers. And I heard you say you want to do long-term rental, so you're very clear about that. That's important. And so that there's also fix and flip, there's buy and holds, there's BRRRR strategy, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. We'll go more into that. And also important to not just have one exit strategy, have
Hmm.
contingencies. I always have two or three because, depending, like if you did a fix and flip and you couldn't sell it, now you have to rent it. Do the numbers still hold? Right.
Okay.
So having multiple exit strategy is not a bad idea either. And so let's look at a sample buy box. I created this on Canva. I don't know if you use Canva.
Hmm. I'm familiar.
And the reason I created this on Canva is, again, when you get started in real estate investing, you want to tell everybody, hey, this is what I do. Because you want people to think, when they think about a property that they want to sell, you want them to think about you. And so I use these social media posts to put out there what I want. If you're in these real estate investing Facebook groups, which I recommend, obviously with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of spam and scamming going on in those places, but
Okay.
in those groups, but it kind of gives you a filler of like, okay, you can kind of, a lot of times I just stalk those groups and see what's out there. I may not always post, but I am a part of it to see, okay, what's going on, getting a feel of the market. But you can create your own social media post saying, this is what I want, because you will have people, and I've had several people reach out to me, like wholesalers, transactional engineers is what they call them. And they was like, oh, I have this property. Are you interested? And so having that buy box is a great way and a great tool to communicate to other people what you're looking for so they can send you deals because that's getting deals into the deal flow. But I also use this for networking purposes too. I'll print this out. So when I go to networking events and I'm talking to realtors or I'm talking to wholesalers, talking to different people in the space, I can clearly articulate what I'm looking for, but I can also pass these out. This can be a great, this can
Mhm.
be like your business card. And so here you see with my buy box, I have the location, which is I put Georgia, Metro Atlanta, Savannah, Columbus. I also meant to say that I believe Augusta is the third largest city. So Atlanta is the largest, then Columbus, and then Augusta. So very huge, huge market in terms of population. I have the property types that I'm interested in, additional info, which again, we'll get into this details in terms of running the numbers. You don't necessarily have to have this on your buy box right now. More
Mhm.
or less, the location, property type, and characteristic is the most important things, and it's your contact information. So this is a
Mhm.
sample buy box that you can create and use. And now let's get into the mindset because
Yes.
it's important to cultivate a mindset for success. Do you ever wonder what goes on in the mind of a successful real estate investor? And that's rhetorical, but I do want you to think
Mm.
about that. Like, what is it in their mindset and approach that has enabled them to be successful as they are? Or how are they able to create a lifelong profession out of real estate investing? And while there's no one road to success, I'm going to share with you four simple principles that can help you grow a successful mindset and reach your real estate investing goals. Remember, everyone started out as a beginner. All right, so we have number one, mind your business. Real estate investing is a business, and successful real estate investors treat it that way. Real estate investing, again, you're gonna hear me say this a lot, it's a relational business. So it's important to build strong networks between yourself, realtors, other investors, other real estate industry professionals. Considering yourself as a boss, even with zero experience, you are still a boss and CEO of your company. And it's the first step along the way to becoming one. And number two is successful real estate investors understand that having a clear goal and working hard to achieve it is essential for building a successful business. Taking a long-term approach, look at this, not just a quick and easy way to make money, which is not a get rich. Real estate is not a get rich quick. It's definitely a long-term approach for success. Rather than just focusing on the day-to-day tasks, it really helps you look at the bigger picture, but it keeps you motivated and inspired because the day-to-day tasks may not seem fun or they may seem mundane. But again, these tasks, these habits that you are creating as you're developing and learning, these are the things that's going to sustain you in the long term. So, what's your vision? Having a vision for what you want to achieve in real estate investing, from rehabbing properties or becoming a landlord to building wealth, achieving financial freedom, and living the air quote American dream is the key to your success. But it's important for you to say, okay, what's the vision and mission of my business? Because these are going to be the lighthouse for your business. And so, and it takes determination, it takes grit, it takes flexibility for investors to be successful. And then failure is a part of success. And real estate, again, is a business and you're going to make mistakes. That's a part of the learning. And everyone makes mistakes. The thing is, how do you look at it? I never look at anything as a win or lose. In my perspective, In my journey, I look at it as a win and learn. I always say experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. The path to success is not without its challenges and setbacks. Respect failure and mistakes as a part of your journey and not something to be ashamed of or something to be afraid of. Accept that you cannot know everything. You're not going to know everything or predict every outcome. There will be mistakes and sometimes they will be costly. I believe, honestly, when we're considering doing something, it's important to think about, okay, well, what's the worst case or what's the worst possible thing that can
Mhm.
happen? And how do you feel about that? And if you're like, well, okay, I can deal with that, then you're more amped to feel more confident to pursue something, especially when you're just getting started, because you're like, oh, well, the worst case is this. How bad is that? And how you feel about that and measure that and consider that. And so the biggest way to hedge against mistakes is to commit to being a lifelong learner who invests your time and your resources into real estate investing and your education. Don't feel pressured to be an expert in anything. And I know this course is find, fun, close in 90 days. But don't get necessarily so caught up that if you get to 90 days and you haven't closed on a property, again, you are in a developing phase. You are in it from the long haul, and this is going to be a learning process and learning curve for you. Can it be done? Absolutely. It can be done in 90 days. I've done it several times, but don't get so caught up in that it creates this anxiety and fear within you. If you work the system will work for you. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
Mhm.
Rely on your network when issues arrive that are beyond your knowledge. This is what I'm here for. I remember my first closing, I was clueless, but I kept
Mhm.
testing my coach. Hey, I don't know. Look at this. And he walked me through it and I got to the closing table. This is what I'm here for. With each misstep, you can learn, you can grow, and it makes you better to make decisions for in the future. And so and so instead of allowing, mistakes to defeat you, just use them as stepping stones to propel your real estate career forward. And last but not least, embrace the journey. I always say, we always talk about on my podcast, Soul Shift Sessions, me and my co-host, Coach Kyle McLeod. He always says on the podcast, the joy is in the journey. Oftentimes, when we're setting goals and we're learning something, we're always focused on the destination and getting there. But the journey, there's joy in that, in the experiences that you're having, because you at some point you're never going to have them again because you've learned, right? You know things. And so always remember the joy is in the journey. Real estate, investors reshape communities and we see opportunities where others only see negativity. Be
Mhm.
proud of the work you do, especially when you're talking about providing Section 8 housing to people that may not have access, may not have equity. And so be proud of the work that you do and the business that you're creating. Your positivity and your confidence will attract great partners, great employees, great investors, and others who want to be a part of the organization that you are creating because you are a boss.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm a quote queen, so you're gonna notice that all my calls and presentations, I always throw a quote in there to just provide motivation. And this quote is, some people want it to happen, some people wish it would happen, and others make it happen. I want you to be the latter. Make it happen. And that's by Michael Jordan. And so the next steps and homework is I want you to complete the buy box worksheet, which is inside of the Google Drive that I'm going to send you. So go through that, and you've already told me some of the things that you want. So go through and fill that out. I want you to identify 3 potential target markets, which you've already said you want Metro Atlanta and Augusta, but just write that out and then complete the 90-day or the goal worksheets where I believe you list 3 goals that you would like to see happen and add those KPIs to that. How are you going to measure those goals getting started? And again, it may be listen to so many podcasts, read so many books, make so many offers, set up your business, so many things to think about, but these are just some examples. And again, I'll send you the Google Drive to be able to do that. And these are, have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki?
I have. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great book.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are some books that I want you to read. In addition to the Bigger Pockets Rookie podcast that I'm going to send you, I want you to read these books during the time that we're going to be meeting. And I would start with The Small and Mighty Real Estate Investor by Coach Chad Carson. Great book on, his approach is start small. You hear sometimes and be careful when you hear these podcasts, they'd be like, oh, I did 100 doors in 1 year. And you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, but and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But it's also fine to say, I want to close one property a year. That's actually my journey. One, because I love my freedom. And so
I know that's right.
I'm okay with especially when you rent by the room, because I can get a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath. That's 3 doors for me. They under one roof. And so, but that's 3 different streams of income from one property, right? And so Small and Mighty Investor is a great book in terms of that mindset, but he talks about so many things, from how to find different deals, how to fund different deals, how to make offers and close. And this will be the first one if I had to say which one to read first. I
Okay.
highly recommend Small and Mighty Real Estate Investor. Wealth Without Cash. This is a Pace Morby book. Have you heard of Pace Morby?
I haven't.
Yes, Pace Morby is big on the sub two community, subject to the existing finances, what sub two stands for. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a creative financing approach. So,
Mm-hmm.
Wealth Without Cash, Pace Morby goes in depth in terms of different financing options in terms of investing in real estate beyond just traditional and conventional. So there are many creative finance strategies and approach that he delves into in this book. This book is a gold mine. And if you follow him on YouTube, he has some great videos on YouTube too.
Okay.
And then the last book is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Now, this is not specific to real estate, but this is important because it teaches the art of negotiation. And he's a former FBI negotiation officer. And he
Mm-hmm.
gives the strategy and he talks about how to negotiate with people to get to a yes, or to get people to do what you want, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that is you're listening to what a person wants and you're becoming a problem solver. This book is important when it comes to negotiating deals, because when you get to the point of closing, which includes making an offer,
Mm-hmm.
especially depending on who you're talking to. If you're talking to someone that's in a distressed situation, they're going to have objections. If you're trying to make an offer that's less than what they're asking, they're going to be objection. The question is, how do you handle no? How do you handle objections when they arise? And Never Split the Difference is a great book to help you to start understanding how that psychological aspect of negotiations. It's I found this book was easier to listen to than
Okay.
read, because you were reading, you'd be like, whoa, it's good, but it's intense. It's a lot of
Okay.
information. So
Okay.
again, and I believe there was at one time the audiobook on YouTube. I'll see if I can find it again, but I don't know if you listen to audiobooks.
It's something I'm trying. I'm actually pretty like, dare I say, old fashioned, because that makes me feel like a nana instead of a pre auntie. But I really appreciate like yeah, like I have lots of books, but I like them like I'm a tangible book girly. Like I'm like, oh, let me like sit down with this book, read a chapter or two, take some like highlight. Like I like to do all the things. Um, but I have tried Audible, but I don't think it was the best one to start with. So maybe this will give me another opportunity because I started with something that was like sci-fi y and I was like, no, the voices y'all are doing it's too much.
It's too
Like,
much.
it was
That's
too much.
I'm the same way. I'm an old school, feel the paper, smell the pages, gag,
Hmm.
write all in the book. And that is me. But when I became a minimalist and started traveling the world, I'm like, I can't carry all these books because I'm
Yeah,
notorious for reading at least 3 or 4 books at one time.
they're heavy. Hmm.
Notorious. And so when I became a minimalist, I was like, okay, I kind of shift over to the ebooks.
Okay.
But again, I'm still reading 3 and 4 books at one time, which means I'm not always finishing my books. And
Hmm.
so this year alone, I set a goal to read 12 books for the year. And I was talking to Cam, and he was just telling me about audio books. And I was like,
Yeah, he's a Audible king. He be
yes,
cranking them. Yeah.
yes. I was like, I like you. I'm like, the voices don't go with the images I have in my head
Hmm.
is hard. But one thing that he put me on to was to speed it up to 1.2. Girl, that was a game changer.
Okay. Okay.
That was a game, and it may seem like it's so small, but
Okay.
that taking that speed to 1.2, game changer. I'm cranking them out now because I'm like, again, if the audiobooks, I can get more books read and
Hmm.
done, especially as I'm listening, as I'm doing something else, kind of like the podcast.
Hmm.
But that 1.2 was a game changer. It's not too fast that is squeaky like Alvin and the Chipmunks, but
Yes.
also not so slow. It's like, come on, can we,
And that was really what I was having the problem with the audio. I was like, y'all, this is like foreign. Y'all got accents. It's slowed down. Like, so okay, I could be open to trying.
yeah, try that 1.2. That, like I said,
Okay.
he shared that with me the top of the year and game changer. So these are 3 books in the podcast and the homework that I want you to look into for our next call. So, any questions?
Of course. So I guess from your perspective, do you have so in full transparency, I part of why I am leaning into my buy box criteria, including rentals, is because it feels very large to consider like a buy and flip. Like I think of that and I'm like, I don't I don't know what I'm doing times three as opposed to I don't know what I'm doing times one. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Because let me stop share because I want to stop share. And I felt the same way. When I first got started, I was like, because again, I came in with, oh, I'm gonna do rentals, midterm rentals specifically because this is what I'm comfortable with. But I also learned in the process is like, okay, when it came to fix and flips, that was daunting to me. It was very uncomfortable. I was just like, but what I did was I leaned into the
Mm-hmm.
discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, well, what do I need to do to start feeling more comfortable? And so with Atlanta RIA, and this is something I encourage you to do is join Atlanta RIA. I think it's like $100 and something for the year. They have meetings in different areas of Atlanta, just depending on where you are. So they probably have a meeting once a month near you. They have the main meeting once a month, but they also have little sub meeting groups. So I highly encourage that. But one thing they do is they go to actual rehabs. You could actually, they'll have a meeting at someone's rehab project.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I went and it was like full gut. We walked in, it's spider web. It was crazy. But I was just like, but I kept going to those type of events. Because they'll talk you through it, how they found it, the negotiation. And but you can also see it from beginning to the end.
Okay.
So to see that, it opened my mind to the possibility. And I was like, well, if he did it, if she, I'm like, oh, I can. So I would encourage you to lean into the thing that makes you feel the most uncomfortable and learn it. Because again, even if you had a fix and flip, my first fix and flip, that was that six-figure flip that I did. And the first flip I did was a full gut. Who,
Mm-hmm.
who knew somebody that was like, my first one was a full gut. But what I did was I partnered with someone. So I didn't do it alone. That's a
Mm-hmm.
you don't feel uncomfortable. Partner with someone who has more experience and that can help you navigate your first one. I felt our contractor came recommended from someone else in our group who had used him before. And because really it becomes a matter of knowing what you want in the strategy, but being able to communicate that and basically managing, making sure it's done. But I
Mm-hmm.
definitely would encourage you to lean in to at least learn it and understand it. So if an opportunity comes, because like you said, your main focus is rentals. But if a good opportunity comes, you don't want to pass it up because of fear.
Right.
If it's like, man, I got this. Who can I partner with? Who can I work with to take this down? And honestly, on the other side of that flip, I was like, I did that, but it was because I had gone to those rehabs and I saw, because before, if I saw a full gut, I'd be like, well, where do you even start? Like, how do you?
Correct.
But because I had a mentor, because I was going to these meetings, because I'm talking about I fully immersed myself in real estate, it got to a point where it was less and less uncomfortable, less
Okay.
and less fearful. So whatever you're fearing, whatever, lean into it, girl.
Okay.
Lean into it. And again, Atlanta RIA, they have those meetups, and these meetups are free. Like once you join, you can go to these meetings. Most of their meetings are free for members, and you can go to that renovation. I forget what they call it, renovation something, where at least once a month, and you can kind of follow someone else's journey with that.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, yes. Because I always say, listen, the number dictates the deal. And so if you have all the tools in your toolbox and you understand that when the opportunity comes, you're like, okay, bring it here. That may not be my specialty, but I know how to take this down. Because it's an opportunity to make money. Or if not,
Mm-hmm.
you can pass that on to someone else and wholesale it. So if you're like, I don't want to deal with that right now, well, now I can wholesale it to someone. So I could,
Mm-hmm.
and everything I'm teaching you, the find, fund, close, all this is getting you a property, but you can decide what you want to do with that property in terms of what the exit is. And that can
I see.
be whatever it is, but all the strategies that I'm teaching you is going to get you that property,
Okay.
able to do what you want to do with the property. Because you may even get a rental that, because you can fix and hold too. So you may find a
Mm-hmm.
great opportunity, but it's still got to be rehabbed.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you think about cash flow, because the more below value a property is and the more opportunities you have to add value, that's the greater chance of making more money on that deal.
Mm-hmm.
So even with selling it, I mean, with holding it, you may have a fix you have to do, but you're just fixing it and holding it. Or the burst strategy is when you buy it, you rehab it, you refinance it, you rent it out, and you rinse and repeat. So there's still a rehab element really in
Mm-hmm.
all your deals.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not buying turnkey,
Right. It's gonna need something.
it's going to need something. Now you can decide your tolerance and how much it's going to need. That's totally up to you. But again, my first one ended up being that way because it was such a good deal. It was a foreclosure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I can't not do this, you know. But I'm going to teach you everything you need to navigate and get through these things. And so even if opportunity presents itself, is you're not alone in this. So if that gives you some solace that, okay, if something does come up, you're not alone.
So at some point will we talk about foreclosures or is that
Absolutely.
okay? Cool.
Absolutely. Because the foreclosure list, and I'll send you the foreclosure list, you know, as long as you're in the program, because we pay for it. We pay for the list, but we also pay to have it skip trace. Skip trace means you get the phone numbers and add and the
Mm-hmm.
contact information of the owners. So the new The foreclosure list comes out the first Friday after the first Tuesday of a sale because the auction sale is
The
it,
first Tuesday,
right. So it was just yesterday.
yesterday. Hmm.
And it really depends on how many weeks are in the month because lenders have to make the announcement 30 days before the foreclosure. So if there's a fifth week, then it rolls over into the second week instead of the first one. But if it's only 4 weeks, it'll be the first Friday. I just have to look and see how many weeks are in October. So when the list comes out, I can definitely show you my process.
Okay.
That's a lead source. And so I get the list, I can send you the list, I can send you the skip trace list. But what I do is I create a text message and a cold call campaign. And I also send postcards to those individuals. And so because you're looking at Metro Atlanta, I'm not looking at Metro Atlanta, but I can send you Metro Atlanta every month while you're in the program so you can start looking at these and start looking for opportunities to be able to get deals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
The other question I had was, do you have or what is your insight on setting? I think I know the answer, but I don't want to guess when I have an expert. Um, on setting up like a separate business, and do you have a suggestion on what type?
When you say separate, separate from what?
Like separate from my own individual entity,
Absolutely.
right? Okay. So I,
Absolutely, because and minimally a LLC. So I have a LLC tax as an S corp. You would have to talk to an accountant just to get clarity and just to make sure that's the right route to go. But minimally an LLC because you want to have the protection. And then
mm-hmm.
also too, we put properties in land trusts. And so that gives you another layer of protection because if you're a sole member LLC, obviously it's easy to tell who is the owner. If you do a multi-member LLC, even if you had one other person listed as a member, then not so much. And so some people do that too. They'll do a multi-member LLC, them and another person, maybe a family member, and that person only has like 1% decision making, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a big decision maker. And or somebody will have like for me, I have an LLC with a tax as an S corp, but then putting properties in land trust. But minimally, definitely want to, because you want to have that liability protection. You want to protect yourself personally from the liability of the real estate company. And when it comes to LLC, because you'll hear different school of thoughts. So you'll hear some people say, well, I put every property in an LLC. So every single property LLC. You don't have to do that. The LLC is based on the value. So it's not necessarily based on one property at a time. So say for instance you have one LLC and there's one house in there that's $1 million. Well, yeah, then yeah, that needs to be by itself because of the value of that. But if you have four 250,000 properties, those all can go in one LLC because now that four properties is the value of 1 million. So it's more or less the value versus how many you put in there.
Okay.
Yes. And so definitely want to set up a LLC, like I say, minimally for your real estate investing business. Mine, when I first got started, that was one of the first things I did. I set up my LLC through the Secretary of State. It's so easy with Georgia. It's like 150 for the year and then $50 after that. I did my own S Corp election. I didn't have to hire anybody to do that. Got my business bank account for
Hmm.
because that's important. And yeah, and maybe create you a landing page for your business and you're ready to go. Also, tools that I use and minimally some kind of CRM, some type of way to track your leads as they're coming in. So if you're an Excel person, that's perfectly fine. There's so many CRMs out there for real estate. Um, I use REI Reply, but there's so many having some type of system or organization of when you have leads, how you contact them, when you contact them, what type of lead there were, the follow up.
Okay.
Again, you can start with a simple Excel worksheet to get you started, but having some type of tracking tool. And then the other thing I recommend as is worth it is PropStream.
What's that?
PropStream is a lead source website where it congregates all public information into one system. So instead of going to every county website and getting information, it congregates it all in one system. I can show you how it's used, but those are things that I would recommend in terms of purchasing is because PropStream you can create lists. If you're like, okay, I want vacant properties in Augusta, Georgia, on the east side near whatever. Like you can create these lists, get the owner's information, skip trace it. Now you can send letters, postcards, or call them. So
I
it's just a
see.
way to generate lists. So just how I told you, I can send you the foreclosure list.
Mm-hmm.
You can create your own list as a lead source to start tracking those expired listings that I talked about with real estate agents. You don't even have to go through a real estate agent. You can literally go to PropStream and pull your own lead source. I think they have a free trial if you want to get it and just kind of see how you feel about it. I think it's a free trial for that, so many days, but PropStream is, and it's also, it can act as a form of a CRM too, because you can collect information and data and track it as well. So it's kind of twofold. I think it's like $99 a month, but you can also get pertinent information. Let me show you. It's probably best to show you. You can get, because when you're looking for deals, you want to collect as much information as possible
Mm-hmm.
on these deals about the owner and the property. So I see they got batch dollar. And it may look overwhelming, but it's okay. It gets so you can put an address or an area in. You can either put the address, you can put the county in,
Mm-hmm.
let's just say Fulton County. And they'll just list all these properties. I'm just gonna click on one, and they'll tell you all this information. So you get the type of this is land, which I don't want land. You have an address in Atlanta that I can put in here?
Um, it anywhere? Just an address?
Yeah, anywhere.
Sure.
In
We'll
Atlanta.
put my address in now. I'm nosy.
Okay.
So it's 252
352?
252. Mm-hmm.
Okay. 252. Oh, wait.
Pine space tree
Space Tree
circle.
Circle.
Oh, nothing. What the heck?
252?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, I have a different one. We'll try a different one.
What type of property is it?
I'm in an apartment, so it may be weird. That's how I was like, oh, let me give you one
Oh,
that's not too
yeah.
far.
Give me a
Yep.
house.
Okay. 761 Brookside, BROOKSIDE. Mm-hmm. Space Park Lane. Yep. Avondale Estates.
Oh, oh, what happened? Oh, there you go. Okay. So we can. Why didn't it? They always changing stuff. So you go to details. And again, this is so much helpful information when it comes to running your numbers
Oops.
because you could do comps on here. You can do comparables and see what other properties are selling for. You can do your ARV, which is your after repair value for fix and flips. But again, it also what the rental market is, what you can get for rent versus what it may be renting for now. Again, helping you run your numbers because rent is your income. And so when you're running your numbers, you want to know what your income is, what your expenses are. And keep in mind too that this is public information, so it may not always be 100% accurate,
Okay.
but it gives you something to start with. So it's like, okay, 2 bedrooms, 3 baths. This is a townhouse. It's the on market, off market, the type of distress situation. How long have the owner owned the property? That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to tie your landlord, they may because you're looking for motivation. And so if you have someone 10 plus 20 years owner and is not owner occupied, see, this is owner occupied. But say, for instance, it's not on the occupied, that lets you know that could be a potential for a tired landlord. But you can create all these different lists based on the information. So all the property details, the owner, their address, if you're mailing, if it was not owner occupied, you can potentially find what their address is if it's different, when it was, the bill, also the financing, if it's a HOA, because when you're running your numbers, you need to know all your expenses. And so
Mm-hmm.
what's the expenses? Because that's important. In terms of what your cash flow is, because you create metrics in terms of like minimally, when we talk about your buy box, you want to say, okay, minimally, I want to make at least 100, 200, 300, 400, $500 cash flow. Obviously, 100 and $200 is not necessarily worth your time. You
Mm-hmm.
want to I always say at least $300 to $400. I always say, well, yeah, $300 to $400 cash flow a month after your expenses and everything has been paid. So when you understand what your income is, but also your expenses, that can help you understand, okay, what is my potential cash flow, especially when you're doing rentals, that's going to be the biggest metric for you is cash flow every month. When it was bought, how much it was bought for, it was financed. Um, this says first mortgage so it's 2022. The interest rates, this is good, especially if you're looking at creative finances, you want to take over the interest, thinking about, okay, if this was 10%, do I want to take that over? No, I don't. So
Mm-hmm.
and so having this information helps you structure your offer and your deals based on after you run your numbers. If it's listed, it can give you listing information, give you the agents who is selling, if there was like if it was pending offers, relist it. Because again, we're looking for motivation, but you can get the agent number if it is listed. Comparables, this is where we put in our metrics for the comparables to look at other properties that may have sold we always look at about 6 months, and
Okay.
but we can put our date range here. So we'll do this for 6 months. Square footage is 20% plus or minus 20%, but this automatically calculates it for you.
Hmm.
We look no more than a mile. But if
Okay.
it's a lot of properties, we'll take it down to 0.5. But if it's not, we don't try not to go outside of 1 mile. That's like appraisals. That's usually what they do. And we can put in minimum bedroom, bathroom to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. Some have
Okay.
pictures. So it'll like you can see the pictures here, but they may or may not be updated. But at least you can have the picture information. And if you're looking for after repair value, you're looking for something that has been fixed up.
Mm-hmm.
If it's fair market value, looking for something that is same, basically same condition. So
Okay.
this one right here, if I'm comparing it, it's like, okay, this looks like it's a little bit more updated than the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, maybe not, but at least it can kind of paint the picture of what they're asking versus what they're not and what they're not asking. So much information that you can get. You can do your
Hmm.
comps. You can also see if there's any mortgage information. Again, this is more or less when you get into creative finance. If you're taking over or you're trying to do a subject to, or you're trying to do a wraparound, this is painting the picture in terms of what you're pretty much acquiring as a result of your subject to offer. Tax information is important because taxes is part of expenses. And so this tax information, you're not going to get insurance information. You can, but you typically you can get insurance information from Zillow. But these are the main expenses that you're looking at. You're looking at your interest, your taxes, your insurance. Um, these are the main players. We include vacancy and maintenance repair, but the main ones is taxes and insurance when it comes to your expenses and making sure that, okay, is this going to cash flow the way I want it? So this is giving you an idea of roughly what the property taxes are, but you can use that in running your numbers. You just divide it by 12 to figure out what the monthly is.
Got it.
But yeah, see, there's so much information that you can get. You can save it. There's so many things that you can do in terms of managing and your tools, but also to the filters that they have. Remember, I told you about the different filters that you can put in there to create your list. So you can put all this information in and say, okay, whether it's auction, whether it's failed listing, which is the same as expired listing, you can create your own filter, then put in Fulton County. You can put Fulton County, or you can put a city. You could say
Mm-hmm.
Avondale, and then this is a city, but find me properties that fall into these categories.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can put the details, minimum. We talked about the buy box. Okay, what's the minimum
Right.
bath you want? And it will pull up properties that specifically meet your filter, create a list for you. Now you have a list to work from to start looking through to potentially reach out to the owners. I believe you can do skip tracing in here as well. Yes. So they offer skip tracing where
Mm.
they'll take and skip tracing is basically reverse address lookup because you want to be able to
Okay.
get some contact information. And I saw on here where they had batch dollar. I don't know if they have a single dollar in here or not, whether you can actually call people because dollars are important too, especially when you're dealing with large lists. You don't want to have to go through your phone and have to dial each number. So that's what that box popped up said batch dollar. Dollars are ways for you to put numbers in. Like if you had a list of 100 addresses, but they gave you back 500 different phone numbers from that list. So batch dollar is a way that you can literally put all those 500 numbers in and then have a system for the computer just to call the numbers for you as you're going through. So a batch dollar will put out a call and whoever picks up, that'll be the first one you get. And then they'll pretty much designate where the other calls go. A single dollar is where they just call each one for you.
Okay.
And you're just listening. And you will see this more like when I do my foreclosure lead, I'll show you how the single dollar work because I use that in REI Reply. REI Reply does it's a CRM and it's I can show you that too. And REI Reply, it also includes like free web pages. So all my websites are from here, but it's a very sophisticated, it's a CRM, customer relation management tool. So all my leads, so say for instance, you get that 100 addresses, you can import them into a CRM or on your computer
Mm-hmm.
and you can create a system for managing them. You can add tags, you can add details, you can add notes. You can say, hey, call this person on this day. You can make appointments and they'll text them and say, hey, because when you call them, you're like, oh, okay, I'm interested. You want to make an appointment. You want to go out and see the property because what it looked like on the
Mm.
internet may be very different than what it looked like in person.
That's
Even properties
perfect.
that's listed. So you definitely need to make appointments to go see the properties when you're on the call. And you don't want to talk numbers on the phone if you can help it. So you get as much information you can from the seller so you can figure out what problems you need to solve, but then
Mm-hmm.
you can make an appointment. So you can make appointments here. They have the single dollar here. They have campaigns where you can send batch text messages out. So these systems, there's so many things to and these are tools to help you in your real estate business. But like I said, minimally, you want to be able to have a CRM and some type of lead generating source like PropStream to help you lead sourcing. In addition to the other ways I'm gonna tell you how to find deals, but
Mm-hmm.
this just makes it easier for you to get lists to start marketing to.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
that's
Okay.
PropStream. When I do the foreclosure list, depending on when it comes out,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can see more of this like in action.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Stop share. A lot of information, and I know how it may feel like you're being like water hosed sometimes, but because real estate can have its own language.
Yes. Clearly.
But the more you show up for this call, the more you listen to the podcast, the more you go to the networking, go to the Lanneria meetings, you're gonna keep hearing this stuff over and over again. It's just a matter of time before you learn the language. And you're gonna be like, oh, you're gonna be spitting it out. And a year from now, you're gonna be like, is that me? It's going
Okay.
it's gonna get more and more comfortable as you go. And I'm just saying this from experience. I know when I first started, I was just like, and they'll throw an acronym at you in a minute.
Yeah, I was
What
like,
does that
okay.
mean?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But don't be afraid to ask questions. It's no stupid questions because again, everybody started from somewhere. So, but it's gonna get clearer the more you show up.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll send you all the things and this video, I'm gonna go ahead and upload the video once we're done with the call and give you that playlist as well.
Okay.
So let's look at I'm gonna stop recording.